So I was here trying to write down the notes for this video, which is actually about doing nothing and the power behind doing nothing. And I realized that I was going against my Wu Wei, a concept we're going to talk about very soon, which is like that state of flow. So I'm going to start packing and we can go off so we can do nothing together. So we can spend some precious time of nothingness, of connection, and of presence. So the pool of nothingness is calling me to go to the forest as I normally do. To go up the mountain into the forest and just lay, and let's see where my spirit takes me to sit down and have a little chat with you guys. I am not the perfect person to be talking about doing nothing because I also fall into this category of people who just want to do a lot of things. I just have many interests and many hobbies I enjoy doing, like making these videos, reading, writing, and also hiking and going to the gym, and so many things that I'm always doing constantly and all the time. And if you've ever gone to one of my lives, you've known that I regularly do long lives, not 8-hour lives like some streamers, but I do 4-hour, 3-hour lives, sometimes 5-hour lives. I have definitely cut down on them because my throat was really suffering because I talk for such extended periods of time. I am not the perfect example of nothingness, but I am definitely trying to step into a mindset of first consuming less, spending more time doing nothing in an idle state, which is restful, which is peaceful, and that it truly recharges me and makes me feel a whole lot less anxious all the time. And even though I do try to organize my days and try to make the most of them, or at least I try, there's so much beauty and wisdom and peace and nothingness and not really trying to do stuff. Throughout these videos, I'm going to be using an article by Josie Wood called Wu Wei Doing Nothing by the School of Life. They're very famous here on YouTube, and I think they also post articles, and I didn't know that. I was just like researching and I came across that text, which I really liked, and I've been reading this nonfiction book. The title, it's in Spanish, which is El Derecho a las Cosas Bellas, Vindicación de la Vida Holgada, which could somewhat translate to the right to beautiful things, a vindication of a relaxed life or a slow life. And I mean, I think that is also a topic that's become quite popular. People talk about slow productivity, living slowly, and all of these things. So I honestly think that is a very positive trend right now, and I think we should really lean into it. Because I mean, I've fallen to all of the trends. I've consumed it. I've consumed these hyper productivity gurus and productivity people on YouTube, and I actually like watching them and just like how they organize their life. They do inspire me in organizing, because as a Virgo, I do love organizing, but sometimes I feel we can organize to actually create space for us to fully enjoy nothingness. But that will kind of contradict with Wu Wei, but we'll get to that in a bit. Also, I would like to say I love this view. You know, it really isn't our fault because I think thanks to all the standards, we always feel like we're falling behind. We always think that we're not doing enough. We always think that we're not pushing farther into our career. And so then there is like this societal pressure to always be doing more. And like the tick tack of the clock is just repressing us and pushing us and making us feel like we need to be doing stuff constantly all the time. And that brings me to Wu Wei, which is sometimes, translated as non-forcing or effortless action, which suggests that we should be moving through life in a state of flow. I don't know if you've ever entered that state, maybe when you're painting or when just like work feels effortlessly and you're just doing stuff. That is kind of like the energy that we should be stepping into, which is just in a way letting nature guide us to do things, not forcing stuff, and just flowing through it and see where it takes us. So it's not about just like we're going to talk about the importance of just laying and being horizontal and not doing things, but also the importance of doing things that feels effortless, that just flows through us, that we just feel at peace doing them. During the Tang Dynasty, I think it's called, they would let nature or the spirit of nature take over them and just let the rush be a representation of it. It wasn't trying to replicate exactly or to be realistic, to struggle so that it could be perfect. It was actually trying to let the spirit of what they were trying to not replicate, but trying to express, it would be the essence of the spirit. It would try to capture the essence of something, not replicate things exactly. And it brought to us very amazing and beautiful paintings. Now let's talk about our right to beautiful things. The beautiful thing is doing nothing. About laying horizontal here on this dry, golden patch of dead grass. And just be able to take in the beauty of nature. In this book that I was reading by Juan Evaristo, I think is his name, it really invites us from this position of being vertical, of trying to control, of looking down or looking up at people, at enjoying the life when it's horizontal, when we're on the same level as nature. Because when we're horizontal, we see things differently and we lean on the earth, and so other things can lean on us as well. I think in this position, we really see people, we really see things, we really experience life completely differently. And sometimes just like laying is the best way to think. It is the best way to meditate and to experience, to feel the sun shining down upon my face. And he also says this very beautiful thing, which is the right to beautiful things is the right to be useless, to serve no one and nothing. That is what I would strive for. I don't think we need to be useful for anyone. I think we just have constructed this life where we think we have to be useful, that we always want to be of use to people. And a Virgo is speaking, which we like being useful to people. But I think the most important part of life and the beautiful part of life is just existing. And that also doing nothing is an action. You have to renounce. You have to let go. You have to surrender to the nothingness. It is not easy to do nothing, but this action of doing nothing, in a way, really connects us with everything. And I just think that there's also just something very violent about work. And even if we look back, like the ideas of like this modern work and these shifts that we have, these 8-hour shifts or sometimes more, they really do come from this structure, this military structure of waking up at a certain time, of doing things like that. And I'm sorry, but I don't think it's in our nature to be so stuck to these structures and routines of doing things constantly. And I just think that I do feel that work is very violent sometimes. And we've just normalized it. And if someone isn't part of that system, they're considered weak or they're frowned upon if they just don't have their brain wired to work like the rest. And maybe we're not. And we sometimes romanticize that work life or that very intense lifestyle, but maybe we're not in love with life per se, but just the experiences that it can give us, the collecting trips, collecting likes, collecting photos. But we just run through it, and sometimes we don't even give ourselves permission to experience it fully and to just be calm and connect with others. What if what we really desired is friendship, presence, inspiration? And obviously this comes from a place of privilege of someone who has more possibilities to do nothing. But we can just bring these small practices I'm about to give to try to open space for nothingness. Like, give yourself a 5-minute break of not being on your phone, of just sitting with your breath and your thoughts. Put the timer, put 5 minutes, and just be there and just create space for nothingness. Also, of maybe, at night, except of being on your phone or watching TV, just like lie on the floor and look at the wall, look at the ceiling, and just let yourself be bored. This opens space for serendipity, for inspiration, for recognizing things that we were not seeing before. Also, try in the week to say no to something that's not essential, to a thing that you don't need to do, that might be a bit too much, that is a little bit extra. And just because you want to check everything off your list. I, for example, am thinking of maybe not going to the gym today, even though it is something that I actually enjoy doing. But maybe I could just have that space to do nothing and recharge. Also, I remember one. Go for a walk with no destination. Let the spirit of the city, let the spirit of the forest guide you. I hope that worked as a permission slip to trust that life takes us where we need to go effortlessly if we're not making any resistance. That doing nothing is not absence. It's actually an invitation for presence. And so I'll meet you there. Maybe we can meet horizontally somewhere else in this very hyperactive world. I hope you like this video. And if this inspired you, let me know. How are you going to do nothing today? I'm thinking of not going to the gym and just staying a bit longer here in the forest. Thanks for watching. Bye.